Hello, long time, no long form. The last thing I uploaded was me baking cookies and talking about what was on my autumn playlist, and it was fun. It was a little bit different, a little bit quirky. But I wanted to make this video because tomorrow is a 1-year anniversary of a big day in Kerry's history, a day which I probably about 7 years ago probably would not have ever thought would be a thing. And in fact, even when I was at uni, did not think that this was going to be a thing. I graduated. For anyone that doesn't know, I did a degree in music marketing, media and communications. I am a professional music industry gal, and I got a certificate to prove it. Obviously, it's not all plain sailing, and being a graduate is not all it's cracked up to be. And I thought I would talk a little bit about sort of what has happened in the year since I left uni, or the year and a half, because there's been a lot that has gone on since I even left uni, even before I actually graduated, and things that have happened recently, and just kind of like just what I've learned along the way, what I would recommend to people, what I would do differently, etc., and all that kind of thing. So if you are a academic weapon, or you're trying to be, or if you're just interested in what life is like after uni, sit back, grab a cuppa. I've got a nice little lemon and ginger tea in my Derry Girls My People Are Shit hot mug. Anyway, get comfy, I'm about to spill the tea. So first of all, I want to cast your mind back to May 2024. I finished my uni degree, genuinely was absolutely heartbroken, because I'm going to be honest, I loved my uni course, okay? I loved my uni course, I loved my uni, I loved how small it was. Honest to God, it was like the closest I've ever had to like being at private school and having like one-to-one help with people. I probably would have benefited with a bit of one-to-one in primary school, but I'm not going to go into that. Anyway, about a month, it must have been the Easter holidays, I stumbled across a job on BIMM Connect, which was like my uni's version of like LinkedIn, and they'd have like exclusive job things on there. And I came across a job that was specifically for graduates. It was a part-time role. However, I was told about, a couple of weeks before, that if they really liked me, they would keep me on full time. They recognise a good person when they see it. When I say that going in for this grad job was the biggest mistake of my entire life, I mean it. I am not going to reveal the company that I worked for. Let's just say, in the words of Gemma Collins,
it's hell in there, it's horror. You have to be a certain type of person to survive.
I got let go within a month. I think I had a 2-month probation, and I got let go within a month just because, and I will say why I got let go, because I have morals, and the company I was working for basically can't discriminate against anyone. I tell people it didn't end on bad terms, but it did. I've spoken to people about it, like that I'm close with. So my uni kind of had to know, because obviously it was advertised as a grad job through the uni. My family know, my close friends know. It took me so long to realise that I've been blackmailed, basically. So yeah, me being the little timorous little shit I am, I'm shivering my timbers right now talking about this. So I'm not going to reveal anything, but let's just say I've got very strong morals on certain things. I also have quite bad mental health issues as well, which I will get onto in a bit. And the company basically said to me that they were going to let me go on mental health grounds because of how badly affected I am about something, which, to be honest, I think everybody should be badly affected by why I got let go. Like, it's just a natural instinct to be against this. It's just a thing that's instilled in you, and I just feel it a little bit stronger than everyone else, to the point where it actually sends me into a full-blown like meltdown. The way I see it is that they couldn't deal with somebody as outspoken as me, and if I were to give them any advice, it is do not hire a journalist, because we've got very strong opinions about stuff. I mean, it wasn't all that bad. I mean, yeah, okay, I spent that summer really depressed, and like kind of went to see Kasabian quite a few times with the money that I'd earned through them. Funniest thing is I basically spent all my payout money going to see Kasabian. I wanted to do a whole Kasabian tour since I was like 14 years old. Of course, I'm bloody going to do it when they're only doing 4 dates in the UK. Like, so I was, in the words of Andy Goodwin, for that whole summer living the life of the fun employed. But then in November last year, in fact, it was the anniversary the other day, I got a job at Sainsburys because I was like that desperate for money. I got a job at Sainsburys doing online groceries. Genuinely, again, worst experience of my life. It involved like getting up at like 4 a.m. Around the time that I actually started filming like long form content for YouTube, I was doing that job and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I had like a panic attack in the cheese aisle at like 5 a.m. and like my manager just didn't give a shit. Yeah, it just wasn't nice. I spent like the run up to Christmas basically like lying down because I was knackered. I did get to wear reindeer antlers though, but yeah, no. I wore cat ears to work the other day because it was Halloween. And that was fun. But now it's all right because I work in a music venue and they really do say third time's the charm. And I really believe like this is my third job since coming out of uni. And I just feel like I am the most comfortable that I have ever been. I get on well with everyone. Everyone is really, really nice, really supportive. I just get to chat about music all the time. All the Radio 6 dads love me because I wear band shirts and they chat with me for like 10, 15 minutes whilst I pour them overpriced pints. It's brilliant.
And that's brilliant.
So yeah, I do work on the bar. I also do like street promotion stuff. I sell merch. I sometimes, if they need somebody on the box office, if like they're really desperate, I do box office work. It's just nice. I'm like Mrs. Rabbit off Peppa Pig. Another thing that I've also done since leaving uni is I've worked Independent Venues Week. Oh, and I also did the Great Escape as well. That was really fun. I remember, the one thing I really remember from that is going to loads and loads of gigs, falling on the stage after Anthony Smerrick's set on Brighton Pier to grab a set list. Independent Venues Week is absolutely brilliant.
And that's brilliant.
If you don't know what Independent Venues Week is, it runs like the last sort of week of January and they basically put on like loads of gigs around the country in independent venues, sort of like highlighting them. That's something that I'm really, really passionate about. I work in an independent venue, if you didn't know. They've just started announcing all of the schedule for next year and all the venues that are taking part, and it's something that's really, really good to get involved with. I think you have to be 18 to be involved in it. So if you are under 18 and watching this, I don't think you can, but if you are over 18 and wanting to get into music, it's something that's really, really good to stick on your CV, and also it just shows that you're engaging in your local music scene. The whole volunteering thing is basically just going around and asking people to fill out surveys, and you get to see a gig for free, which is brilliant.
And that's brilliant.
This also stood me in good stead for something that I did very recently, and if you follow the blog on socials and you've seen like my Instagram or like my personal Instagram as well, you will know that I have been doing a lot of journo work and content work for World Puffs Festival, which is in Norwich, and that's a really, really nice independent festival, kind of like the Great Escape, kind of a bit like Liverpool Sound City live at Leeds, which I think is coming up in like the next couple of weeks. There's another one in Ipswich called Brighton the Corners as well. Shiny New Model in Cambridge, which was like I think a few weeks back as well. And I got to interview loads of bands. Highlight was Get Down Services. The fact that I've been obsessed with them since like last year, and the fact that like I just got to like chat and hang out with one of my favourite bands is just brilliant.
And that's brilliant.
Also Scuffed, they've recently been supporting Inhaler, so I was a bit like, yeah, it's like, how's Inhaler? My only heartbreak was that I wasn't able to get into adult DVD at Voodoo's, because like my last interview, and then I basically ran back to Voodoo Daddy's from St Benedict Street, which if you know Norwich, you'll know the sort of distance that is. It's not that far, but like to get into a gig that is like at full capacity is just horrendous. There's so many people around, and there was people standing at the door saying it's full capacity, and I just couldn't even be asked. I was that knackered at that point that I was just like, I'm not even going to be like, excuse me, I've got an Access All Areas band. I wasn't going to go full Divas drop. But anyway, they're playing Norwich next year, so I might go along. So yeah, I've been doing interviews, but I have also been interviewed. I've been on Radio Norfolk quite a few times this past year. I also very recently recorded a podcast. I did the Norwich music podcast on the Ha. You should go check them out if you're from Norwich or Norfolk, or even if you're not even from like around this part of the country, go and have a listen to it, because I feel like this part of the country gets really left out when it comes to like music scenes and things, just because we are on the arse end of the UK. We basically are the arse. All in all, and I touched upon this a little bit earlier, I still can't quite believe that I went to uni, and I also can't believe that I actually stuck all the way through uni, because I genuinely thought I was going to drop out in first year. I really struggled first and second year. It was only when I got put on my medication finally in third year that I actually, I guess, every sort of cloud lifted, and I think that's how I ended up getting a first, is because my brain was just finally switched on. I wasn't sort of moping about. I wasn't bedbound for days, and everything sort of like started to come back to me. And another thing as well is that I always thought I didn't want to go to uni. It was like when people would ask in like high school, do you plan to go to uni after college? I'm like, no, I'm getting out of education. I don't like being in the education system. I don't like school, so why would I like uni? I was just really, really kind of uptight and quite moody, and like I wasn't happy at all. And I think the one thing, and I was talking about this the other day, is that when I was at school, the only thing that I really enjoyed, my safe space, was my music lessons and my media lessons. When I leave school, I really want to study media at college, and I felt like I could really focus, I could really put my all into something that I actually enjoyed. And that sounds like really cringy and really cheesy, but it was like my sort of like, that was my motivation to go into school some days. Like I literally used to have to be dragged to school. My parents used to have to drive me to the gate to make sure that I actually went in and I didn't hide in the woods, because I probably would have done. Anyway, these are the things that I've learned. I'm just going to insert like a really fun little intro here. You need to put yourself out there, even if you feel like you're going to shit your knickers, especially in the music industry, because the music industry is one of them industries where everybody is fighting for attention. Genuinely, it's like I'm not going to lie, like the biggest attention seekers that you will ever meet in your life are people trying to work in the music industry. You only have to go to like a networking event and see that everybody is like, I want to do this, I want to do this, trying to get to like the people that work at the top companies. You have to fight to the death. That is what the music industry is, and you need to put yourself out there and go in for these opportunities, because you never know where they're going to lead. Speaking of, on a similar note, you need to stop thinking about what other people might think. I feel like I'm slowly getting past the stage where I'm just like constantly thinking about like, what would the person that took the piss out of me in 2015, what would they say to this? Would they take the piss out of me now? And I'm just like, do you know what? You're not in contact with half the people that took the piss out of you when you were younger. All I'm gonna say is people change. Can guarantee you, I do not feel the same way as I felt about people 10 years ago. And I guarantee you, people don't feel the same about you. It sounds really blunt and really honest, but like people don't give a shit about you. People genuinely, they get to the stage, and if they do, then they're just really, really sad. Another thing that you might have taken from this is volunteering. Volunteering is so important if you want to work in the music industry or just in a competitive industry. Creative industries itself, whether that is music or it's film, if it's games or if it's events. If you want to work in the creative industries, volunteering and unpaid work is what is going to then lead to more opportunities. And I will also just say, just get used to doing it. I was absolutely knackered after World Puffs, but it was one of the best experiences of my life. Like, even if I was getting paid or not, like, I loved it. So get those festival applications ready for next year. Get that independent venues week application ready, because at the end of the day, these are the things that are going to then lead to paid work in the future. If you have that portfolio of work there, if you have those listed experiences there, those are the things that are eventually going to get you the jobs. And like, you are one day going to be able to afford Carhartt and go out for expensive avocado on toast and drink oat flat whites at Alchemista, which, by the way, if you're ever in Norwich, go to Alchemista, because it's just the best coffee. I know everybody has their favourite coffee shops. Alchemista is mine. I want to be able to afford a daily Alchemista and go out for creative meetings wearing my Carhartt jacket one day. Linking on from that, I know I've made such a whole thing about like unpaid work and things, and I just want to say that like creative industries, not even just the music industry, the creative industries in general, and it was something I heard about like even before I went to uni, it is that the music industry is incredibly middle class. It is so who you know, especially if you have grown up around London and the surrounding areas or in really big cities, you have a better chance of getting into the music industry, and you have a better chance of getting those internships because you can afford to move down to London, you know, even on like an internship's wage, which, by the way, are like, they say they're London living wage, but it's so difficult to have a full-time internship and be able to live. That's all I'm gonna say. If I were to do an internship in London, I'd be living in squalor. I'm fully convinced. I am so lucky that my parents allowed me to come back home after uni, because I know so many people don't have that. People that have grown up in like sort of, I guess, surrounded by London and stuff, and that are in an easy commutable distance to London are so bloody privileged. I wish it was like that. I do technically live a commutable distance, but I think I'd be absolutely knackered. I'd probably get burnout if I did it. Another thing is that I don't have any family links to the creative industries either. I've had to really fight to get to where I am, and obviously going to BIMM, going to an arts-based uni, going to an arts-based college as well as another thing. That has stood me in good stead. I have loads of networks, I've had great opportunities, but because I haven't been able to do internships, which to be honest, a lot of that stems from the fact that I had a lot of mental health issues when I was at uni, so I really struggled to have that confidence to go out and get internships. And then when I went to get internships, I didn't get past the interview stage, which was brilliant. So if you can get an internship, that is great, especially when you're at uni. uni, even if it's just a little part-time thing or like some sort of work experience, that is great. If you have got the guts to do it, go ahead and do it. That's the one thing I will say, is that you just need to put your big girl pants on and go for it. And that is what I would tell uni me now. Kara, stop being an arsewite and get on it. And then the last thing I would say is that increasing your network is just the most important thing. The creative industries, the music industry, is all about networking, and I have been going to so many networking events since I left uni. I've been to 2 in London. BIY is a must. If you are wanting to get into the music industry, definitely recommend BIY. Everybody's really friendly. You get to chat to loads of different industry professionals, and also just getting involved in your local music scene is great as well. I have been welcomed into the Norwich music scene with open arms. There are so many really great people in this city, and I understand that I'm coming from a really privileged position, that I have grown up in a city, and that I'm growing up in a city that has lots of venues and has lots of bands and lots of promoters and loads of cool creative people doing really cool stuff. I've just said cool quite a few times there. And I know that some people are from towns that are from the middle of nowhere. In a way, I do kind of get it, because Norfolk is very rural. But if you are in the position where you can get on like a bus or a train to the nearest city that is like in, I guess, commutable distance, I definitely recommend doing it, especially with the little independent venues. Ask if they need any volunteers. If they're calling out for volunteers, go and do it. That's how I got my job, and it's brilliant.
And that's brilliant.
I will also say, keep in contact with your lecturers. My course was so tight-knit. When I was at uni, like, your lecturers were your mates. Like, you literally just used to text someone like WhatsApp. And like, I went back down to Brighton in March and had a chat with my course leader, and it was like having a little therapy session. It was like, I don't know where my life is going. I can't get paid for journalism, and I still can't. But do you know what? We're working on it, and I've done loads of stuff since then. Things are going well for me at the moment, probably the most well that they've been going for God knows how long, and that was like really badly worded then, but you know, we roll with it.
Roll with it, like Oasis said.
So if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I no longer have any tea. Look, it's all gone. If you liked it, give it a like. If you want to subscribe, give us a subscribe. Also follow us on Instagram and TikTok, because I'm more active on, particularly Instagram, I'm more active on. And I'll hopefully see you very soon.